Chapter 15. Dinner Conversation. They sat at a table made from glass, which left Thomas uneasy, as he was convinced tables should be both robust and visible. "What's the point of a transparent table?" he whispered to Janice, who sat beside him. "I mean, every time a meal's brought out, I'm going to instinctively worry about my genitals." Janice's demeanour had improved proportionally to the amount of alcohol she'd consumed. Thomas had been under the impression she didn't drink, to which she'd insisted his presence was the cure for abstinence. Although she knew most of the guests, Thomas knew none, except for Damien, who'd gone very quiet and was drinking heavily. Thomas found it hard to be convivial, not just in the circumstance, but in general. This evening, however, he found it particularly difficult, incensed that at one time or another each of these individuals had berated him via their various means of media. Janice begged him to behave by not smiling or talking, eating or drinking until they were ready to leave. Thomas had insisted he was ready to leave before they'd even arrived, but when entrees were brought out, she told him to shut up. There was a collective "ah" from the table, which Thomas assumed was the result of synchronized communal flatulence. Some comments were made about how delicious it appeared, and Thomas made one about flatulence. "What?" he said in response to her glare. "Do you really expect me to sit here in silence when these wankers have spent the past year berating me?" "They were just doing their job," Janice whispered. "Reporting on the court case. It's not their fault the prosecution has a corporate law and media machine on their side." "But these bastards have never tried to get my side of the story." "That's probably because your book summed up your story rather too well. And I don't know why you're so peeved. Here is opportunity for you to ingratiate yourself with them and counterattack." "I'm surprised they're not throwing their food at me." "That's because they don't know who you are. I haven't mentioned your last name yet." "What? Not to any of them?" "Well, Malcolm, obviously, but no others." "And he didn't mind?" "Of course not. He's a nice guy, very understanding." "He'd have to be, considering that music." He shifted uneasily. "I don't like this table. It's too French." "What the hell does that mean?" "It reminds me of Malcolm's microwave. Posh things leave me uneasy." "It's just a table, Thomas. Stop making a fuss." She smacked his hand when it kept pushing its edge. "And stop drawing attention to yourself. And stop scowling." "I'm not scowling. I'm just worried about my genitals." "What?" "This transparency leaves me decidedly uneasy, Janice." "It's just a freaking table, Thomas." "But it's not though, is it? It's potentially a guillotine. It's going to be hard to convince my nether regions not to worry about a scalding first course placed directly on top of them when imagining shards of glass raining down if this bloody thing breaks." "It's not going to break, Thomas. It's glass, Janice. It's tempered glass. Try telling my genitals that." "I am not talking to your genitals." "Well, I'm going to have to spend this whole evening offering them words of appeasement." "Please don't spend the evening conversing with your genitals, Thomas." "Why not? It would be far better than conversing with this lot." He looked up at their amiable chatting. "I should tell them who I am right now. I should stand up and make a statement, and then whatever follows is legally less likely to be my responsibility." "Not yet. Don't tell them. Just wait." He looked at her. "Until when?" She shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe you don't have to tell them at all." "Then why am I here, Janice? I don't know," she hissed, the back of her hand against her mouth. "You were right. This is a mistake." "Oh, really? Are you quite certain?" He stopped, worried she might be on the verge of tears. "I'll leave them a note," he decided. "What?" "My genitals. I'll leave them a note, telling them not to worry." "You could use your napkin." "What, to write on?" "No, to cover them." He blinked at it. I've always wondered what napkins were for." Unwrapping it, he draped it across his nether regions. "There, safe and sound. They'll never know what hit them." After he tried a smile, they sat in silence while banter skittled across the table. I told Damien," Thomas said. "What about your genitals?" No, about my last name." They both glanced at him. The banter missed Damien altogether, who was drinking so heavily that Thomas worried about the table again. "What was his reaction?" Quite subdued, I think, but only because of the number of witnesses present. I think he was scared. I should probably tell the others. If they're all scared, then that could work in my favour, as being threatened is something I'm far more familiar with." "You can't, not yet." "Why not?" Because this is supposed to be a dinner party, she hissed. And we need people to enjoy themselves. It would be very awkward if they knew who you were. So you're not going to tell them at all? She prodded an entree that landed. It's not up to me. What do you mean? Said Thomas, clasping his genitals when one was placed before him as well. This whole idea was yours. She looked at him until he let go. Yes, but now it's up to you, Thomas. You charm them. You tell them your side of this rigmarole. Charm them? He hissed. Janice, these people are clinically allergic to me. She leant toward him. I know you have charm, Thomas, even if it's a weird, serrated version that causes civilities to rupture. Once they've gotten to know you, then you can tell them who you are, and they'll realise you're quite a nice guy. But I'm not a nice guy. I'm a self-indulgent wanker, remember? True, but even wankers come in a variety of degrees. It's up to you to show them which one you are. Well, if that's the case, then I'm the one addicted to it. I can't charm these people. I can't charm anyone. I have an increasingly massive legal bill, which is testament to the fact. If you want your books to be taken seriously, Thomas, then you have to. But they think I'm a complete wanker, which isn't even true. Nobody likes a wanker. Then pretend you're a nice wanker. Pretend? Yes. How? Jesus, Thomas, you're the writer. Use your imagination. Are you sure that's wise? After all, imagination's what got me into this mess in the first place. Then, I don't know, pretend you're James Bond or something. Thomas stared at her. Are you serious? Yes. James Bond. You want me to pretend to be James Bond? I don't know, Thomas. Whatever works. Whatever you need to do. I can only arrange opportunities. I can't exploit them for you. Now eat your entree before it escapes. Thomas prodded it. What the hell is this? It looks more burst than cooked. And anyway, I think it's going to take more than my being James Bond to have these people speak to me. Why? Because Damien's clearly not thrilled. Well, were you affable towards him? He blinked at her. Was I what? Affable. Who even uses that word nowadays? People inquiring about affability. He sighed. Yes, I was affable. I was very affable. Thomas, I suspect you being affable is skewed somewhat toward the extremes of its definition. What's that supposed to mean? That you were rude. I was not rude, all right? Then why is he drinking heavily and looking at you with confusion? Thomas shrugged. No idea, but it makes a nice change from loathing. What did you say to him? I didn't say anything. He just took offence to my presence. What did you say, Thomas? Nothing. I simply told him who I was. She stared. I said my name. That's all. I told you. They all hate me. Christ, I feel like Jesus crashing a Roman banquet. Janice glanced at Damien. But Damien's lovely. He's got a great rapport with the Guardian. I was hoping he'd be the easiest to convince. Well, if he's the easiest, I might as well bash myself over the head with this crockery now and save them all the bother. He prodded his dinner again. What the hell is this anyway? It looks like uterus. You're not very positive, Thomas. Janice, I cannot identify my dinner. That is a concern, especially considering I've had some nasty experiences with soup recently. So you simply said, hello, I'm Thomas Corfield. Literally, that is all I said. How did you say it? What? How did you say, hello, I'm Thomas Corfield? I don't know, like it's my name. He stopped prodding. No, actually, I said it like James Bond, apparently. What? I said my name like James Bond. After a stare, she said, but your name's nothing like James Bond. I know, that's what I told him, but it was the intonation. She sighed and looked away. I don't understand any of this. Thomas took a mouthful of food, chewed once and stopped. How is it? She asked. Janice, I'm not entirely certain how to say this, but I think I'm eating a pregnancy.